it's funny that we didn't talk about this on the show because it's impossible to know. But we should discuss. So, what do we think? Did it happen? Who's right? Who's wrong? Now you might think, wait, isn't that obvious? Not exactly. Okay, so after watching all the testimony with my own eyes, like John Kennedy would do, like squinting real hard to see who was telling the truth. I'm positive that as almost everybody is, so I'm not saying anything revolutionary, that Christine Blasey Ford is telling the truth, and that happened to her. And so then when Kavanaugh came out, guns blazing, I paused, right? Because I do have I like to think I have an open mind, and I know for a fact that as I was watching it, I had an open mind and thought, well, man, he's really emotional and in a way that I probably would react myself. So I empathize with that. And his reputation is definitely ruined, no question about that. Even if he gets confirmed immediately, it's 60% of the country is going to think he did it, okay? And so I empathize with that. And I thought, is there a chance that they're both right? That
mistaken identity?
The mistaken identity, right? She says she's 100% certain, but of course we can't be 100% certain that she's right. And if I was on a jury, you'd have to acquit, I think. So not because he's innocent, but because it's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
But do I think he did it? Yes, I do think he did it. I don't think that necessarily means that he kept on doing it. Like Lindsey Graham's thesis was, no, all the people who do something like this do it for the rest of their lives, like Bill Cosby. They don't stop after 2 years. No, people grow up. And so I believe that the other women had positive experiences with him.
I also believe that it could be likely that there are other victims that are terrified to come forward, because I know I would be. Yeah. I know that I certainly want to be. I would not want to be in the middle of that mess. If I were victimized by him, and I'm just being honest, I'm giving you guys my real perspective, and I feel like I'm almost embarrassed to say it, to be honest, because I feel like it's important to come forward. But if I were in the position of someone who was also victimized by Brett Kavanaugh, would I come forward right now? Absolutely not. I would live with that in secrecy for the rest of my life, because I wouldn't put my family through that. I wouldn't put myself through that. The way that they have treated her, Blasey Ford, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's ruined her life. It's ruined her life.
She can't, for the moment being, she can't even go back to her own house.
Yeah.
The house that she put the 2 front doors on to be able to escape. So I hear you on that. Did you get that email yesterday from a viewer? I don't know if
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, and I talked about it earlier. The viewer, and I'm definitely not going to give the name, etc., talked about why people don't come forward, because when she did, her parents blamed her.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. And back in the day, it used to happen way more. It's a little better today, maybe arguably a lot better, but still, deeply troubling. And a woman I talked to today said, look, there's one word you talked about, how one of the reasons that people don't come forward is it's embarrassing. She's like, that's true, but there's another word you should keep in mind: shame.
Yeah.
And that's the most powerful of all. And that's what's used as a weapon against women. And honestly, a lot of folks internalize it. They shouldn't. That's why these conversations are so important, because now they might do so less. Yeah. And that's how we change the culture. But it's really powerful, and that's what happened. And so anyway, my personal guess as to what happened between those folks is that some things are clear. Kavanaugh was not a choir boy. He might have gone to church every Sunday like he says, He might have come from a religious family, but every witness says he drank to excess, was one of the guys who partied the hardest, had his crew, his boys. They didn't, at the time, they did not treat women respectfully. So that seems absolutely clear. So when he comes in, he goes, oh golly gee, you know, I've treated every woman with respect, etc. It rings very false. And then it makes me question him even more. So at the end of the day, was it someone else or was it Kavanaugh? I believe her that it was Kavanaugh and that she is certain. And given how often Kavanaugh has lied, and that Renata thing that I partly gave him credit for being remorseful in his opening statement, the girl that they picked on and said that they had all been with, in essence, in the yearbook. The fact that he continued to lie and say it was not sexual, it's just that all 14 of us respected her so much that we talked about her in the yearbook. I'm like, now this guy's a trained liar.
Yeah.
And so whatever he might have been after college, at the time, it appears that he would be the kind of guy who would do that. And you say that's a rough thing to say about someone, but his own college roommate freshman year says, no, that's exactly the kind of guy he was. And now he says he didn't see Kavanaugh doing those things, but he wouldn't be at all surprised. Other people say the hard, you know, not just the drinking, but the disrespectful nature of how they treated women overall, trying to get them alone, the spiking of the alcohol. Now there's a lot of, and some of it might be true, some of it not exactly right, etc. But if you're asking my opinion of what happened, and that's not as nearly as important as the FBI doing an investigation, it's not how you should vote. You should vote based on, you know, your convictions about if this is the right person to be on the court, etc. But we all have our personal opinions. And at the end of the day, if I had to guess, I would guess he did it.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the major things that's making me think this way is the fact that he has an opportunity to possibly clear his name once and for all, and he keeps rejecting that opportunity.
Yeah, you're right, Anna, and I just can't get past it. If it was me and I'm in that righteous anger, and they accuse me of it, I don't care what Grassley says or what Trump's strategy is. I'd say, no, I want you to go and find everyone you can, because God damn it, I didn't do it. And I think that the way that I would have testified, and it's impossible to know, of course, but is that I would have come out and go, look, I listened to her testimony and I believe her. And it's, you know, it's a heartbreaking situation because she went through that. But I swear to God, it wasn't me. Now, I'm throwing my hands up and asking you guys, how do I prove it's not me?
Yeah. Because
it wasn't me. It must have been someone else because she doesn't seem like she's lying, right? So for God's sake, let's work together to figure out how we prove that it wasn't me. What do I need to show you guys? Because I cannot go to the Supreme Court or not go on the Supreme Court, go back home and have, my God, hundreds of millions of people think that I attempted rape. I can't have it.
Right.
What do I got to do to prove it wasn't me? I think that's how I would react.
I know I would react that way because I would be obsessed with proving my innocence and proving that I did not do anything wrong. Because regardless of how the confirmation goes, I'd have to go home and live with myself at the end of the day. And knowing that there are people around me who think there's a possibility that I possibly committed something that's a criminal act, I wouldn't be able to live with that. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, and at that point, I wouldn't care what your political ramifications are and calculations are, because this is my life.
Yes.
People are either going to think I'm a rapist or I'm not. So I swear to God, I'm not saying based on politics or anything else. And now it doesn't matter. There is no politics because the FBI investigation would be maximum, according to the Democrats, a week, well before the election. They would have plenty of time to investigate and to vote. So it isn't about politics. That's now definitive. You might have said it before. You can't say it now. So the fact that he really doesn't want an FBI investigation, I think that's dispositive. Yeah. I think that's the thing that puts me over the top and says, yeah, if you put a gun in my head and said, who do you think did it to Dr. Blasey? I would say Kavanaugh. Two easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.